Okay, I'm on the site on Facebook, Carmarthen Memories, and all of a sudden I seen a photo of the old huts in Glangwili Hospital, and it's showing one of the wards in the huts. And straight away I went on Googled Glangwili Hospital, because the photo on the site wasn't plain enough, and I came across this one on Google. It's a much better photo than the one on Facebook, because this brings back memories to me when I actually stayed a week in the old hospital huts in Glangwili. Now, back then, I'm going back now, well, I'm 71 now, and back then it was in the 50s. I was about 7 or 8 years of age, but I remember it as if it was yesterday. And I also stayed in the old huts in the Llanelli Hospital as well. And I also went to Moriston Hospital. You see, when I was young, back in the 50s, I was suffering terrible with asthma. And my mother, even at the age of 5, my mother came in to my bedroom one night, and she could see I couldn't breathe, and she had to hang me out of the window, and bang my back for me to breathe because I couldn't breathe. And often I was rushed into hospital on oxygen. I was back and forth into hospital. Amazingly, I nearly went a few times, it's amazing. I survived, but I was having good treatment in the hospital. And of course, it was the huts I was going to. The one here in Glangwili where I spent a week. And then a few weeks or months later, I was in Llanelli and then Moriston. I was going back and forth into them all, I was spending more time in hospital than what I did in school, and my education suffered a lot. And I'll never forget the headmaster putting me back a class, in school. And I was upset about that because I wasn't with my friends or my age. I was put back to a class a younger age because I'd lost so much school. Anyway, people watching this now, and I'll be putting this on Facebook as well as YouTube, and a lot of my friends will know I worked underground, didn't I? I went to work, and even on the coalface. Now, how did I manage that when I had suffered so much with asthma? Well, from the age of 11 on, I started running and taking part in sport, and even though I could hardly breathe at first, but I pushed myself. I kept on pushing myself, and I seemed to get better and better. I was able to run further, and I remember we used to have boys used to do the cross country run in Pontiats, and I started running with them. I had to stop a few times at first, but I seemed to get better. And as I got older, by the time I got to the age of 17, when I went to look for a job in Clive, and I was then playing rugby for Pontiat's youth, and I was running cross country. So I hardly had any attacks at all then. So when I went for a job in Canada, the first thing they asked me, have you got asthma? And I said, no. And within a few months of working in Canada, I was put on the coalface, on the supply in Cross 2, Panel 1, Cross 2, back in 1967. I'll never forget it because I loved it. I loved the job, but the company with the colliers, it was absolutely great. I really loved the job, but there was so much dust coming out to the supply ward after the shearer was cutting the coal, and sometimes I couldn't even see the hand in front of my face. It was so bad, and I got worried. I was thinking, here's me. I got asthma, and I'm working in this dust. And I thought, this is going to hit me for 6, and I was worried sick about it. And my mother and father at the time didn't want me to go underground. They kept on to me, don't you go underground with asthma. You're crazy, they said. You could kill yourself, and all that. Anyway, as it turned out, the coal dust didn't affect me at all. And I landed up working 25 years underground. It was a big gamble I took at the time, and it paid off. And for many years, I've not been able to see these photos, and now all of a sudden, this is technology for on social media. You've seen photos now you would never thought you would have seen. I never thought I would have been able to see this wall again. This is one of the huts in Glangwili. And here it is. It's on, well, this one isn't on Facebook. The other one was on Facebook. But I'm going to put this one on Facebook now in a video. And I'll put it on YouTube. Because I can't get over seeing it. It's not good memories. It's bad memories. I was on oxygen all the time, and really, really, really bad days for me back then. But they were. It made me strong, I suppose. Okay.